You're listening to My Aimless Conversation with Jeff Cosetta, and on this episode, I talk with Sherilyn, aka Ma Sherry Amor. Sherry and I discuss the immediate bond we had when we first started working together so many moons ago, and her athletic prowess in track and field for both her high school and collegiate athletic careers. We then shift the talk into moving from college and how Sherry discovered fitness competitions and pageants. We also talk about the joy she feels working as a personal trainer and helping her clients become their best selves. And she even shares with me some of her own personal tips, tricks, and nutritional information that she believes is pertinent to a healthier lifestyle. And speaking of personal, on a personal note, Sherry happens to be one of the most genuine, caring, and compassionate people that I know, and I think it really shines in this episode. So let's get into it and have an aimless conversation with Sherilyn. No, it's so good to see you. I just wanted to. How long have we like, I'm trying to think back too, like we worked together. I think I worked for the company
for a while.
2004, 2005.
Yes, because you were already with Olympia, but I think you were at a different site. Was it Fairhaven?
I was Fairhaven. I started actually, I got hired for Taunton, but they sent me to Plymouth first to get some training. And then Fairhaven was my first store where I had my whatever I was supposed to be, like a manager trainee, I think it was called. And it was a smaller store. And actually my last interview for this podcast was with the assistant manager of that store.
Oh, wow.
So I'm kind of on an Olympia kick right now. I'm going to have to like bring in like Durr or somebody else soon. But it's been, I think I left there in 2006. So I don't want to say that's the last time I saw you. I'm hoping that.
So I believe so, unless we ran into each other at some point in time. I think that might have been the last time. So we met probably like 2005-ish, because I started at Olympia, I think the summer of 2004. I just graduated high school, and that was like my first like official job into the workforce. So I was just working as a regular staff member, and then I got promoted to assistant manager, and then Jeffrey came in and graced me with his presence.
Oh well, now you're being too kind.
Oh no.
Now you're
we bonded. I knew we were going to be friends because we bonded over The Simpsons.
Yes. Well, The Simpsons. Okay, so we can get into that too. Yeah. But I just laughed that you mentioned that you were fresh out of high school. You said when you get the job. I was essentially fresh out of college, which is so it's I started there. I think I was 2004. I was like 22. So it's I always had the perception, and don't take this the wrong way. I had the perception that you were like a good 6 years younger than me, but it was only 4. I mean, when you're younger, I mean that age gap seems, way, regardless of how old you are, like when you're still like in high school and whatnot, it's a little bit different. But now in adulthood, I'm like, oh yeah, there's a 10-year difference, and I don't need to see that. So, with us having essentially like a 4 or 5 year difference in age, it's not that big of a deal. But The Simpsons, man. Oh man, that's there was a time, and I don't know if I'm ashamed or proud to admit that back in the day, I would probably give a Simpsons quote, or at least relate anything that was happening in my life to something on The Simpsons. Oh, this is just like when Ralph Wiggum, blah, 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 but that's awesome. Yeah. It's weird. Like, I feel like you're one of the people, to me, and I should say this, like, not in a negative way, I guess, if there is any negative connotation, which I don't think there is, but like you and I, like, we keep in touch, via social media and stuff like that. But it's one of those things where you and I can see each other after like 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, and just, it feels like it's only been like a day, because I think you and I have that type of bond where it's like, oh yeah, everything else is new things in life, new jobs, new priorities, new apartments, new living situation, but it's just almost like, It's like we're picking up right where
Pick up
we.
where we left off. Exactly. It's really interesting, and I was thinking the same thing too. We're on definitely the same wavelength. Um, it's been several years, but we've been in contact in some way, shape, or form all this time, regardless. And I think that it's a testament to our friendship and just like how life seems to be for us, because there are people that just completely drop off by the wayside if they don't hear from somebody for a couple months or weeks or whatnot. And that was never anything like that between us. So I appreciate your friendship and just the fact that we're being able to keep in touch regardless. It's
Right.
just awesome.
Well, it's kind of
Yeah.
the benefit and the drawback of social media, if you will.
Hmm.
I make a big just so you know. So while we're getting into the crux of things, I try not to talk about politics. I try not to talk about religion because I feel those are very divisive topics.
Yes.
You know, my thought here is, without getting too crude, because even though this is a typically an R-rated, if you will, mature podcast, to me,
Hmm.
I don't give a damn what you believe in. I don't give a damn what side you fall on the political spectrum. Just it's how you treat each other, you know?
Absolutely.
So, and the bigger ideology of that is with social media. I have this conversation all the time, not to get too political about it, but
Hmm.
I feel like it's a tool like everything else. Like we talk about, gun control and everything. Everybody, guns are a tool, good,
Hmm.
bad, or indifferent. They're used to protect. Should there be more regulation? That's up for debate that I'm not going to talk about. But you have the good, you have the bad that use those tools. Same thing with,
Right.
anything else like, medical marijuana. Marijuana to me, if you use it in the right facets or any type of like hallucinogen, if you use it in supervised and whatnot, it could be a
Yeah.
big benefit with those with PTSD, all this other
Right.
stuff. But again, if you abuse it, so it's along the same lines. And I think social media falls under that umbrella because I think for our generations, and when I say generations, I mean millennials and younger generations, I
Hmm.
think social media has such a big impact now, but it's
Yes.
also used to spread false information. So you can
Yep.
use it for good and bad. So again, not to get
Absolutely.
off, I'm going to get off my soapbox now because I don't want to get too bad. But I just think
Mhm.
it's for using it the right way, like you were saying. We have that bond, and just to be able to keep in contact with each other,
Mhm.
through all these different life events. And I'll talk about something that people watching the video that I'm rocking right now. Uh, we talked about because you sent me something recently, and we'll get into that a
Mhm.
little bit later. And I
Yep.
didn't realize that you're essentially the next town over for me. When I saw your return address label,
Yep.
I was like, "Oh man, I thought you, and that's on me because I didn't know necessarily where you lived. I thought, again, we
Hmm.
worked in Taunton, so I was like,
Right.
oh, Sherry's up there. She's in Taunton, she's in
Hmm.
Brockton, she's in, Raynham, she's in wherever." And it's just like, no, you're
sound like
literally like,
you sound like I'm like Carmen San Diego.
yeah, well, first of all, I want to talk about that too, not necessarily Carmen San Diego, but I want to talk about one of the things we were talking a little bit offline about
Hmm.
was looking for different pictures that I want to use as the album art. And I have
Hmm.
to say, I was kind of not stalking you per se, but I was flipping.
Like, where is this going, Jeff?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I'm
no. I was
joking.
flipping through your Facebook photos and I saw you do an amazing Harley Quinn. Uh,
I
I
did.
I
Yep.
was like, I try to keep everything professional between us, but I was like, damn, damn,
I
she's
have to
looking
say that
good.
that was probably my best costume to date. Yeah.
And I think I saw one with like a Gamora, I believe it was too.
Yep, I did Gomorrah twice. The first time I really couldn't commit to the whole green face. It just kind of threw me off, and I'd never done face paint before either. Did a lot of research into it, and I just couldn't do it. So I did it a couple of years later, and I got like the wig, the whole nine. It was a little bit better, still not the best, but I give myself a little more credit for kind of trying to commit to it. But I
So
think Harley Quinn still was hands down the best costume.
I love it. And I think, if if and when I'm not going to say when, if rather I'm going to say when
Mhm.
this whole pandemic thing kind of subsides and we
Yeah,
have herd immunity, if we can start doing like crazy Halloween parties again, you need to let me know your next costume because
duly noted.
I will do some type of group thing. I don't care what.
That'd be awesome.
I'll do a Dave Batista and become Drax the Destroyer. I just won't move at all.
That would
Um,
be awesome.
yeah, we'll have to
That'd
do
be so
something.
cool.
If you do, I don't want to do repeat costumes though. But
Mhm.
are you kind of into that whole comic book vibe, or is it more just like the pop culture that you were like,
Yeah, I think it's more the pop culture. I mean, I like following, the action and whatnot. And I like following the storylines. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not like an avid follower. Like I don't watch the comics or read the comics or read the mangas or anything like that. I just like the storylines that go along with it. I find it enjoyable just to kind of be sucked into like a different world. So I can't like necessarily keep up with the people that are super invested in it because I just kind of seem like I guess a pink hat, if you will, to it. But I enjoy the cinematography. I enjoy the actors. I enjoy like just being invested in the whole story. Um, Actually, the funny part is to kind of segue off of that is Comic Cons. So I know that's really big, like for people that really follow and are really invested in the comics and the like what's it called, Marvel and DC universe. And I was actually thinking about doing a Comic Con as Harley Quinn, but I just could not like buy the ticket and just like buy into it. I need to go with somebody that's like a diehard and just like tag me along, and then I'll be okay.
I got you. I got you,
Hmm.
girl. No, that'll be fun. That would be, yeah, I do Comic Con, the Rhode Island Comic Con every year for sure.
Okay.
Um, it's in Providence. It's usually like,
Hmm.
it's a pretty good con. Like if you're looking to get your feet wet, it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
people, but,
Oh my God. If I'm going to be walking around as Harley Quinn with my ass hanging out, I need to be around somebody I feel
I got
comfortable
you. Yeah,
with.
I got you. And I'll be like, and it's funny you say that, because that'll segue to another topic, which is hilarious. But no, and first of all, at Comic Con, yeah, like that's the case. I have a couple of
Mhm.
friends that I've made throughout the years, and friends of friends that they do a lot of cosplay. And one of my friends, Z, uh, she, I think, lives in Providence. I met her through a mutual friend of my other podcast, and she dressed as Bombshell Harley Quinn. So I know you said you don't read like
Oh.
the comics and
Mhm.
stuff like that, but
Yep.
it's like she had the bomber jacket and she had the red
Yep.
and black bikini on and like
Hmm.
the short shorts, and she was just like
Yep.
walking around Comic Con, and
Hmm.
like she took a picture with me because we're friends, and you should have seen like
Yeah.
the side eyes I was getting from some of the guys. Like they were like,
Yep.
how are you hooking up with it? I'm like, no, she's
Yep.
just a friend, dude. Like,
Hmm.
she's cool.
Like
She's
I got
beautiful.
connections, no big
Yeah, yeah,
deal.
yeah. So, but no, it's funny you say that because you're saying like your ass hanging out. I distinctly remember going back to the work times. We all worked at Olympia Sports, so
Hmm.
the uh office attire, if you will, wasn't the most flattering. But
No.
I do remember um I had to and I don't even know if you know this. I have a story, and I don't know if you're gonna remember this.
Probably
You
not. Tell
you
me.
no, some customer was getting a little enamored, for lack of a better term, with you,
Okay.
because you were on the shoe wall, and
Hmm.
we had a thing where you put the box of the shoes, the Nikes Air Force Ones were the big jam, right?
Yep. Yep.
So you put the shoe box on the ground, and they're sitting on the bench, they left the shoes, you went down and you bent over to uh pick up the box, and I might be totally like remembering this wrong, but I always recall you having like very, very, very long legs.
Yes.
Um,
Yep.
and so you kind of like bend at the waist type of thing, and you got
Hmm.
the butts up in the air, and some dude, he must have been like 45 at the time, was talking to me and just did one of these. And I was like, dude, my eyes are up here. And he
My
was like,
goodness.
he was darting to you, and I was just like,
Hmm.
he was checking you out, and
Oh my goodness.
I was like, dude,
Completely oblivious.
yeah, yeah, no, it was just like, but again, you were doing your job, and I just
Hmm.
happened to notice. So overall, if that were to happen in Comic Con, I'd probably, I'd put my mean face on,
Oh,
like,
I appreciate it, Jeff. I
leave her
really, really
alone.
appreciate it. Or someone's catching a heel.
Right, right, right. Well, there you go. Would that be totally
Yep.
Harley Quinn, though, right?
Yep. You're
So
right.
I love it.
Yeah, she's
Uh,
always been my favorite character. I don't know why, but even from like the cartoon Batman, like she was just always my go-to.
well, that's where
So,
she got her start. She actually never appeared in the comics before. She was actually created for the animated series and
mhm,
became so popular they worked her into the comic books and movies and stuff after the fact.
nice.
But yeah, no, like Harley Quinn is a great character. So I know you said you don't go into the deep dive with the books, but I'm assuming you've seen pretty much all the movies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm totally all about that. Like to me,
Mhm,
like you said, the pink hat, like it doesn't really matter. The fact that you're immersed in the universe, like that's how I look at it anyways. Um,
mhm,
I don't know if you watched the Disney Plus series, and we're kind of getting a little off topic here, but I want to just mention Falcon and Winter Soldier right now is killing it. Uh,
hmm.
it's really, really cool. And if you like Sebastian Stan, and why can't I think of the guy that plays Falcon? Why can't I think of his name? I'm gonna have a brain fart, but
Yeah, I won't be able to help you on
he
that one.
played Papa Doc in 8 Mile too, which I thought was
Okay. All right.
hilarious. I'm gonna remember as we go along, and it's gonna
Okay.
pop out at me. But yeah, so anyway, like they're hitting on so many like real life topics at the same time too, and they're dealing
Mhm.
with the comic, but they're peppering in Easter eggs for
Okay.
fans of the comics that'll pick up on it and be like, "Oh my god, I remember that from the comics."
Yeah.
And the movies do that too. So to me, you're not necessarily a pink hat, as it were, in the
Mhm.
sense that you only care about the movies, but the fact is you still belong to that fandom, and then people that are a little bit more immersed in the source material will be able
Mhm.
to pick up on those Easter eggs. So to me, as long
Yeah.
as you're enjoying yourself and you're helping to contribute,
Mhm.
uh, I love it. And to me, the fact that you did both Harley Quinn and Gamora, I think
Mhm.
is phenomenal, because one of the things I talk about, and not to harp on my other podcast, but you can go back to certain
Harp
episodes.
away.
No, but you thank you. But what we can talk about is with the female characters, I love more, and again, it's going to sound woo woo and like I'm jumping on a bandwagon, but the
Mhm.
amount of roles, and especially with the Black Widow movie coming out now too, like
I can't wait.
it's going to be so awesome, and just the amount of representation of females too.
Mhm.
And I loved Zoe Saldana as
Yeah.
Gamora, and she's
Mhm.
going to be coming back for Guardians 3, but it's going to be
Yep, I can't wait.
past Gamora. And then
Yeah.
Black Panther 2 is going to be coming out. I've been just reading some stuff about they're not going to recast Chadwick Boseman's role,
Yeah.
so T'Challa's not going to be in it. So
I
curious to
think
see
that
how
was a
this.
wise decision. Yeah.
Right. And to me, but again, you have Okoye and you have Shuri, who are both like, again, women of color who are
Mhm.
super, for lack of a better term, and excuse the pun, super
Mhm.
capable.
Yeah.
Shuri is just so entertaining. She was my favorite part of the first Black Panther movie. Shuri
Mhm.
was
Yeah.
amazing because she's entertaining, she's
Mhm.
smart, she's
Yep.
just, and just her interaction with Chadwick Boseman, with her and T'Challa,
Yeah.
like I thought was
The
great. And
perfect. Yeah.
and Okoye, I deny, I don't know her last name off the top of my head, but plays Michonne on The Walking Dead.
Yep.
Again,
Yes. Yep.
total badass, and I
Mhm.
just love seeing that on screen,
Just
because to
really
me,
displays a really strong character.
right,
Very poised, very not even elegant, but yeah, elegant, but just very wise,
right,
and I think is a great depiction of people of color in movies. And I think just kind of segueing into Black Panther, and not to sound like I'm jumping on a bandwagon, but you don't really see a lot of that in most movies in general. So I, as a person of color, I enjoyed it thoroughly because of the fact that there's lack of representation, and that is becoming more aware. And it shouldn't have been a thing. It should be an ongoing thing. It shouldn't have been that movie specifically, but
right.
I'm happy that that movie was able to bring that to light, if that
A-
makes sense.
And no, you're absolutely correct, because like the whole plot of Black Panther is essentially you have both T'Challa and I can't think of his name, but Killmonger, played by
Hmm.
Michael B. Jordan, who both
Yep.
have they both want similar things, but they both go about it in two different,
Different
very
ways.
different ways.
Right.
And I sitting in the theater in Taunton, it was very interesting when I saw that in theaters, because there were a
Hmm.
couple of girls behind me that
Hmm.
there was a scene in the movie where Killmonger is looking at the artifacts in the museum, and he's like, "Oh, you stole it from our people," type of
Yeah.
thing. And these
Hmm.
girls were not. They were they were Hispanic. They weren't people of color, but they were yelling at the screen, "That's right, you kill that lady for." And I'm just like,
Oh,
this is one
wow.
person. This is like a,
Right.
a thought process that agrees with it. And it's like,
Right.
when you see T'Challa and saying like, we have all this technology, instead of feeding in, not to a stereotype per se, or just being
Hmm.
um not selfish, but that's the only word I can think of. Like, we
Hmm.
have this. Break, let's break this, circle of what we're doing here,
Right.
and let's break the wheel, and
Hmm.
then let's have these other let's help the world instead of keep hurting it, and I
Right.
love that
Right.
I love that methodology. I love
Hmm.
that idea. And that I don't want to go too off
Yeah.
topic, because this is something that if you want to be on Free or Geek, we could talk about this ad
Okay. Sounds
nauseum on
good.
Free or Geek. But I want to go back to, we talked about like high school and college, and we started working together. Now, were
Hmm.
you big into high school sports? I seem to remember there was some, maybe like track and field or something, maybe.
Yes.
So let's
Yep.
talk about that a little bit, because we're going to
All
get into
right.
the whole athletics talk now, because we're going to go
Yeah.
from what you're doing from, high school and college to,
Hmm.
15 years later, and how
Right.
it's kind of like we've kind of moved to the next phase of our life and what you're doing now. So let's
Hmm.
talk about some of that.
The next episode.
Next episode. Hold up.
Yeah. Bringing Nate Dogg into the mix. Sorry, I
Yeah, I
apologize.
love it. No, it's all
Yep.
great. It's gravy.
So I started track and field and cross country in high school. I did cross country for 2 years and track for 4 years in high school. From there, I went to the Community College of Rhode Island. I did track and field for 2 years there, as well as cross country. And then I was very fortunate to actually earn an athletic scholarship to the University of Hartford, where I transferred out of CCRI there, and I did my last 2 years of track and field there, as well as 1 year of cross country, because my senior year I was sick and injured, so that didn't happen. Um, I think that was around the time, like, we were still keeping in contact when I transferred from my sophomore year to my junior year. We were still keeping in contact, and I think contact kind of fizzled out a little bit just because, life situation. I was in my senior year, really hectic, but we still did our best to keep in touch. Um, yeah, so then I did that and I graduated, and I was a little lost because for the longest time, for 8 years, I was a student athlete. And then for like the final 2 to 3 weeks of my senior year, I was just a student. So that was really weird. It was quite an adjustment. And I had actually done a previous podcast a couple of years ago talking about like the developmental components and whatnot, and life transitions, if you will. And I want to do a little more work on this. It's kind of, I have a lot of like different ideas. I just need to like write them down and actually do them. But there's obviously ones that are more important that I tackle right away. But what I wanted to do is kind of like discuss like the transition of a student athlete, because I was never really prepared for life outside of being a student athlete. It was so ingrained in my being. Um, I don't want to say it's the same thing, because I appreciate those that serve the country and protect us in the military. But the best way I guess I can describe it from hearing conversations with other friends and family members that have served in the military, is kind of going from being a soldier to civilian life. That transition is just really awkward at times. You can feel lost. I'm not saying it's for everybody or that's everybody's experience, but I've heard that from some that have served. And I think there needs to be a little more work done in that transition, because I kind of was like, I kind of felt lost being an adult in, corporate America, if you will, and just did not have that athletic tie. Um, so for a while, I was doing like road races, half marathon, just trying to find that next little high, athletic wise. And it just wasn't doing it for me, because there wasn't that team component, there wasn't the camaraderie. I was just kind of doing it on my own. Um, I had like my friends and family rooting me on and whatnot, but it just is different than being on a team where you're training 5, 6 days a week. You're competing every other weekend. It was really difficult for me. So somewhere along the way, I just kind of was like, okay, this is what it is. I'll go to the gym, I'll work out, but I just didn't really have any true goals. And then around 2015, my high school teammate, Jackie Cleary, shout out to Jackie Cleary, by the way, because she does not understand. Like, first off, she's just an amazing human being, very bubbly. Her laugh is infectious. She's just a sweetheart. So shout out to her. She is the reason why I started getting into bodybuilding. So I've been kind of curious about it, but I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then I saw that she had posted on social media that she did a bodybuilding, a figure competition. And I was like, whoa, what's this? And I want to try that. So I was able to meet up with her. I reached out to her, we chatted, and we went out to dinner, and she was able to kind of give me some feedback in regards to, research and coaching and, training and what to expect. And just kind of gave me like a guideline of what I needed to do in order to kind of get to the point that she had gotten to in regards to competing. So I can tell you flat out, my first year, I had no clue what the hell I was doing. I was nervous. I wasn't dieting properly. I had zero, zero clue. It was just kind of walking in blindly. I enlisted the friend of my old teammate, Jasmine. Shout out to Jasmine, Jasmine Jennings. She's amazing and such a great support. Um, and she was able to kind of help me with like the nutrition component and like keep me level headed, because it's not easy. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. So I competed for my first show with the help of my bestie Anastasia. And we were able to experience the show for the first time, and it was quite quite the experience. I did not realize that I needed to bring a lot of food with me because I would be waiting forever, so I was starving. This poor girl, I'm so happy she came with me, but she just had like a 3 4 month old child, so she's away from her child for several hours, and we did not anticipate how long this was going to be. By the time I actually went, like the award situation or segment came up, it was probably like seven, like probably eight. I would say 7 o'clock. It was like probably 8 or 9. I don't know. It was ridiculously late. And I was not expecting anything at all. And I actually came in fifth place in my category. So I thought that was amazing because I did not know what the hell I was doing. And the fact that I was able to have some reminiscence of something good that the judges were able to see, it was like, okay, cool. Um, so I'm back to the drawing board. In 2016, I competed for the second time. I was a little better with it. I had more knowledge. I took some courses in regards to like how to pose and presentation and whatnot, and that was more helpful in building up confidence and kind of knowing what the judges were looking for. These are things I didn't have to worry about as a track and field athlete because you train, you work hard, you train more, you work hard, and then come Saturday or Sunday you compete, and then you kind of test your ability, and then you go back to the drawing board. You don't do that with a competition. You have to come ready to go from the minute you're on stage. So it was really hard for me to kind of adjust from being an athlete to being a competitor, because it's night and day. It's not the same. So it doesn't. The judges don't care how much you can lift in the gym. They don't care what your max rep is. They want to see what your body looks like and how you present yourself. And if you bring that sass and that attitude and display it well, so that was completely different for me because that's, if you know me, Jeff, like that's not me. Like I'm not, glitzy and glamour and super girly. I'm just like, okay, what's up? What can I help you with? I'm just like really chill and laid back, or I can get a little attitudey, but that's
No,
just not
no.
just a little bit. But that's just not my thing. So there was a lot of like self reflection, a lot of frustration to work through, and then a lot of resilience that came out of it too. So 2016, I competed twice in the same show. I came in fourth place, so I did a little bit better, which was really motivating. And then I did it again in 2017, and I fell backwards. I came in fifth place, which I'm okay with. I had heard about one of my friends passing away, like literally that day. So needless to say, when I stepped on stage, mentally I just wasn't into it. I just
The
wanted to get,
mindset wasn't there.
yeah, it wasn't there, and I acknowledged that. But I decided at that point in time that I was gonna kind of step away, and I retired, if you will. Um, and then kind of fast forward to August 2018, I had I got my personal training certification. So I became a certified personal trainer, and I got hired at a gym that's close by, Health Tracks in East Providence. Um,
Shout out to Health Tracks.
Shout out to Health Tracks.
And
Yep.
you got to shout out Anastasia, by the way. You didn't say shout out to
Oh,
Anastasia.
oh, I'm sorry. Shout out to my bestie
There
Anastasia,
you
who's
go.
been
There you go.
holding me down since the fifth grade. Okay,
Well,
she is.
it's almost like an impromptu, and it's a given shout out. She's always
Oh,
going to get a shout out.
absolutely. She knows. She knows I
Yeah.
love her to death.
Okay. Good.
hands
Yeah.
hands
I just
up.
wanted to make sure because you were giving shout outs to everybody. And you said my bestie Anastasia, and then you went on with the
Yeah.
story, and I
Well, she doesn't
visibly.
have IG, so that's why I was kind of like glazing a little bit over it. But she knows she's my ride or die.
I'm hopefully you're going to share the podcast with her and all your other friends too, so
Yes. Yes.
we can get some DLs, some downloads, and
Okay.
maybe other people want to jump on the show at some point too and have a
Yeah.
aimless conversation. But yeah, so
Hmm.
moving on to health track. So you get your personal trainer
Yep.
certification. So how
Hmm.
has that been? That was, you said 2018.
That was 2018. Yep.
So for the last 3 years, you've been kind of doing that.
Yeah, I have. And I was, getting established more as a personal trainer, getting comfortable with my style and my niche, building up my clientele there. And my boss, who's awesome, Josh McCabe, shout out to Josh McCabe. He is a former bodybuilder himself. So in conversations with him, that kind of reignited my desire to get back into it. And then I came out of retirement in 2019. I did 2 shows, one in Pawtucket and one in the Cape, and I came in 3rd place in the first show, and then 3 weeks later, I came in 2nd place at the second show. So I improved significantly in that time off, which was amazing. So I was on cloud 9 because I was doing so much better. I'm getting really close. My goal is to earn my pro card. Obviously, if I don't get it, that's okay. I'll be a little bummed out, but that doesn't define me, and I'm okay with that. But it would be a great accomplishment if I am able to earn it. I competed in the midst of the pandemic, this amazing pandemic that we've been dealing with for the past year. Obviously, I was getting ready to train and compete in a show, and then the pandemic hit hard and hit very, very hard everywhere. Things were shutting down, the gym shut down. Um, Needless to say, I wasn't really truly expecting to even compete because I didn't know the nature of shows. I mean, usually shows take place in auditoriums and colleges, and those are shutting down. Um, uh, I'm trying to think of the name. Promoters are trying to find different locations to try and facilitate it. They're unable to do so, so they're canceling shows left and right. Um, I had a show that I was going to compete in I think May. It got postponed. Then there was another show in July. I think that got canceled, something along those lines. It was just one disappointment after the next. Then I had the opportunity in November to finally actually step on stage, and I came in 3rd place. And I was kind of in my feelings for a little bit because I worked so hard to, like, train, stay steady. I was dieting, gaining the weight back, dieting, just cranky, and then got on stage and I didn't get the results that I thought I wanted. But then kind of reflecting back, I felt that was kind of selfish of me because not only did I work hard, but everybody else worked hard too. And everybody was trying to get to the same goal that I was trying to achieve as well. So at the end of the day, I think it was amazing that all of us were able to get on stage and at least do something that we love, because the end result was that it could have just been canceled. Um, and then also just like reflecting as well, the fact that I was able to still place that in the top 3, just kind of reiterated to the fact that I was doing something right, and I have something that the judges are looking for. So I kind of had to take a step back and just kind of reevaluate, my goals and my focus and whatnot, and not get it so much in my feelings because it wasn't just me going through it; it was everybody going through it. But I think at that point in time, I was kind of probably hangry and just cranky. So my perception and perspective wasn't in the greatest sense, but it's really good to always have that moment of self-reflection. And I'm in a better place about it. I'm happy with the results, and I understand why the results are the way that they were. And it's just making me hungry to do better now. So, for every setback, there's always that opportunity to, have the greatest outcome, if you will.
I want to talk about what you just mentioned as far as when you're talking about competing. Typically speaking, from because obviously I do so many fitness competitions, but I
So
want
many.
yeah, so many. I
Amazing.
mean, first place. You should see all the ribbons I have and trophies. It's great. No, but like typically, like from a typical show, how many girls are competing? I know you said there's different like categories.
Yes.
So I'm totally uh a total buffoon and novice when it comes to all that. So I don't know necessarily the categories
Yeah.
or how many girls or females. I don't want to say girls because you're women,
Hmm.
but how many
Hmm.
females are competing at that point. And my other thing or my other thought process too is with these different places you said Pawtucket, you said all these different competitions you were going to. Are they the
Hmm.
same judges? Because maybe the judges have different ideas of what they're looking for. So
Right.
I know it's you're kind of getting you were down on yourself at the time, but it
Hmm.
could be just because you go to one pageant versus another, it could be two different sets of judges that are judging you based on different criteria. I don't know if there's a
Right.
set criteria, so it's something
Hmm.
to keep in mind. Yes, fifth place versus fourth place, sliding back into fifth, they're going into second, whatever else it might be.
Yeah.
If it's all different judges, who's to say a fifth place with this set of judges wouldn't be a third place or a second place with this set of
Right.
judges?
Right.
So
Absolutely.
it's something also to consider that we call those in the mathematical terms, we call them variables.
Yes.
Those are your
Yep.
variables.
Yep.
But no, I just to kind of like give a little insight without giving too much away.
Yeah.
I want to kind of delve into what it's like competition wise, like typically how many, and even like in the smaller state like Rhode Island or
Mhm.
whatnot, like how many girls are participating in said competition, on average or
Yeah.
median. But I also want to kind of give a little insight to the listeners, or if you're watching the video viewers,
Mhm.
like what goes into, as far as you mentioned, dieting and training and whatnot. Like I'm assuming a lot of it is like you do like weigh-ins and stuff like that, and then a lot of weight that you shed is water weight, and you don't drink for, like, because I hear that from other podcasts I listen to. I'm on bodybuilding again, as
Yeah.
you can tell, novice bodybuilder here. But yeah, like I hear all that, like the day of a show or whatnot, you're like you're not drinking water so you can get more defined
Mhm.
muscles, all this other
Yeah.
stuff. You're somewhat dehydrated. So if we can just go into a little bit about that, and just talk about what your experience was like,
Yeah.
especially maybe too, if we want to look at it from your first year, the first time that you did it, to what
Mhm.
you learned going through, subsequent years and subsequent
Yeah.
pageants.
Okay. So for the competition that I'm in, like there's other like different federations where they have different categories or an additional category. So the federation that I compete in is the OCB. Um, that one, it just has the standard for females. It's bikini, figure, and physique. So it's three categories for women. Physique is the one that's like right before bodybuilding. There hasn't been a lot of interest from what I've seen in females doing that, or women, yeah, female competitors doing that category. Personally, I would be a fan of it because I wouldn't have to wear heels, and it took me years to master being able to walk actually in 5-inch heels.
Same
Not
here.
easy.
Same here.
Not easy. Especially with skinny little ankles and having long gazelle legs. Doesn't help. Does not help at all. But there's usually like no more than 3 to 5 competitors. I think even 5 is a lot in the physique category. The most popular category is bikini. Hands down, it is the biggest category. It's the longest category. Everybody usually comes out for the bikini round. There's a lot of sass and glitz and personality, bubbliness, hair flipping, which is not a category that I would get into because it does not fit my personality.
You mentioned like the bikini thing, the
Mhm.
bikini portion of the competition, or the bikini category, if you will.
Yep.
To me, and again, when I think of it, like, and I don't want to say from a typical guy's point of view, when you think of bikini, you think of, oh, curves,
Hmm.
nice butt, big boobs, to
Yep.
whatnot. Is that the
Hmm.
same type of? I'm assuming that's not what they look for. They're looking more for like from a fitness level. So I
Yeah.
assume all that kind of just like, it's more about how the bikini fits, where you can see the physique of the female. Again, we're not talking
Right.
like overly muscular, but we just
Right.
want to see like almost like toned, if you will. Would that be a fair assumption to say, or would
Yes.
there?
But we would say like tone than the average female that's looking for a tone. They want to see a little bit of muscularity, not heavy, dense muscles, but they want to be able to see separation in the muscles. So yes, obviously, I'm not saying that the judges are necessarily looking for big boobs. That's not the case. They want to make sure that there's a balance, but they do want to see like a good development in regards to the glutes. So again, it's like more glitzy, it's glamour, it's sass and attitude, it's hair flipping, but it's also how you present your physique in a very feminine way. Um, but yes, they're also looking for like the muscularity, but not too heavy. They want everything to be very portioned and proper, if you will.
I,
So if you're a female that's doing bikini and your upper body is really overpowering and you have really not undefined legs, then you're probably going to get rated lower than a female bikini competitor who has a better established development and that's more proportioned and balanced.
well, yeah. I mean, I think the when the layperson hears, that doesn't know too much about fitness competitions, which of course I'm one of those people. You hear like bikini competition, my thought immediately goes to like Miss America and all that other
Mm,
stuff. Like it's like, oh, it's all about how pretty she is, and that's not
right.
necessarily the same case with
Hmm.
a fitness competition. So I just wanted to kind of
Right.
give that description, or have you elaborate a little bit more, so those people listening don't necessarily equate the two together, because I think it's
Yeah.
two different types. But I want to kind of like segue into more talking about just your diet, because I know you talked about nutrition.
Mhm.
You were talking about entering a competition during the pandemic and throughout the years and whatnot. But I also want to bring into to light, I guess, from what you've learned nutrition wise. Like, I know you mentioned you want to do a podcast of your own, talking
Mhm.
about a lot of this stuff. I also kind of want to jump into, and maybe we should talk about that at some point too. I don't know. There's so many branches that I can talk about.
I know,
But
it's crazy.
when you were talking about the fact that going from a student athlete to a regular student, and you kind of equated it, it
Mhm.
had parallels to the military. I think
Mhm.
that's a astute, comparison, in the sense that I would assume from a college athlete, you everybody talks about, like, again, college. When you think about college athletes, you think about the stereotypical, baseball, football team, the frat boys, partying.
Yeah.
But I think of any type of other athletic, like a wrestling team, track and field, all of that. It's a little bit different, because you have to be so regimented in everything
Right.
you do. And I think
Mhm.
that's what, when you compared it to the military, I can certainly see it in that aspect, in
Mhm.
that respect, where same thing with the military. When you're going to eat,
Yeah.
essentially what you're going to eat, what you're going to be doing, what your mission is for the day, for lack of a better term, what your
Mhm.
training for the day is
Yeah.
going to be.
Yeah.
It's the same thing over and over again. Again, I'm not speaking from experience here, but I'm saying from everything that you typically think of stereotypically from the
Mhm.
military, that's what it is. It's very regimented. It's very
Yeah.
much, pretty much like you have a schedule, you stick to it. It's like clockwork. And I'm assuming
Yes.
from a student athletic level, or a student athlete level, it's the same thing, because you're going to be watching your weight. You want to work for those faster times.
Right.
You want to keep bettering yourself. So it's always pushing
Mhm.
yourself, pushing yourself, pushing yourself. And then
Mhm.
to go from that to be like, oh, so now everything's up to me to decide.
Right. Yep.
It's kind of a culture shock, where it's like
Yes.
it's a totally different vibe now. So
Absolutely.
I'm very happy that you kind of stuck on that path. And I want to talk about the nutrition part next, just like from, not even from a student athlete level, but just like from a nutrition standpoint. Now, I know you want to do a podcast, as I mentioned, where you talk a lot about this stuff. You might want to do a health and fitness
Mhm.
type of thing. And so I don't want to
Yeah.
take that from you. Um,
Yeah.
I don't want to give all the secrets away, so to speak. Uh, yeah, there was
Got
a couple
it.
things I want to talk about. I want to talk about nutrition. Then I wanted to segue and talk about, as far as personal training, because for me, I've been out of the gym now since the pandemic for, over a year now. So like
Wow.
I was hitting the gym pretty hard.
Mhm.
I have a couple of underlying conditions. I'm type 2 diabetic. So it's
Mhm.
like, from a health standpoint, my doctor's like, with COVID right now, you're more apt to have bigger complications. I don't
Yes.
foresee you going to the gym anytime soon. So, I had my first vaccination. I'm getting my second shot on
Nice.
this Saturday. So as of this recording,
Awesome.
so I'm hoping, May 1st is the tentative date, not to like go too far, but
Yeah.
I was going for a while. If you go on my Instagram, you
Mhm.
look, I have a whole story section of the gym where
Mhm.
like I was doing some, not that I was like super in shape, but uh, I dropped a lot of weight for what I was doing, and not to make this all about me, but going from
Of
an
course it's about you.
well, I appreciate it. No, no, but I mean, so yeah,
Yeah.
I'll put this like on, out there. Like,
Mhm.
I was pretty damn heavy. I travel for work for my current position. I actually stopped traveling after a while, but from about
Mhm.
2011, so same thing. I went from let's dial it back a little bit. Went
Yeah.
from working retail in Olympia, where you're on your feet for your
Yep.
whole shift, moving
Mhm.
around, walking around, all that other stuff. And
Mhm.
I'm out of college, but now I'm eating, you know, um, what do you call it, like courtyard food, or food court stuff,
Food court. Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
food court, courtyard. That's the hotels I stay at.
You're
But no, like
right.
food court stuff. You got your Burger
Mhm.
King, you got your, like, I think when
Dairy
I was a ton,
Queen.
there's Dairy Queen. I think there was a Popeyes there maybe at one point. I can't remember.
I don't recall seeing
Okay, maybe
that.
I'm thinking of
No.
Providence Place. Maybe that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. But I
Mhm.
love that chicken from Popeyes.
It's really good.
They
Yeah.
should sponsor this show, by the way. I'll totally give them more shout outs. But no,
Plug.
it's just, your eating habits don't change. And then I got moved to,
Mhm.
after I left Olympia, I ended up moving to a Pac Sun. and I was
Okay.
in the Swansea Mall, which RIP Swansea Mall and RIP
Yeah.
Taunton Mall, by the way, because
Yeah, I know. I
it's
was so bummed
sad,
to
but
hear about that. This memory is gone now.
yeah,
It's
it's just,
okay.
but there were good times. But
Yes.
no, that to that point, when I was working at Pac Sun, there was a Ruby Tuesdays right there, so I was getting a burger and
Yes.
fries
Mhm.
every day for break, and it's just
Yep.
like it's one of those things.
Mhm.
So you're
It's that
eating
it adds up. It
well,
adds up
and then
over
just
time.
but then if your eating habits don't change, to kind of tie it back to nutrition, my eating
Mhm.
habits didn't change when I got a desk job. So now, being instead of being on my feet for 8 to 12 hours a day, walking around and doing
Yeah.
stuff, I'm sitting at a desk for 8 hours. So the eating
Right.
habits don't change. And then, of course, you're getting older. I was in my early 20s. Now I'm in my mid to late 20s. By the time, and then I took a travel position where I was out there
Mhm.
traveling and presenting to CEOs and whatnot for my
Yeah.
company, and we're going out to dinner, wining and
Yeah.
dining, we're drinking alcohol, all this other fun stuff.
Mhm.
You're eating airport food because you got to
Yep.
just grab something quick on between in
Yep.
between flights and layovers and stuff. So it was
Yeah.
pretty crazy that I actually, back in 2000, and so I did that from 2011. Well, I had this job from 2006 to current.
Mhm.
Presently, I'm still working at this company, but
Mhm.
I ended up at 2011 getting that traveling position, and I stopped traveling at 2016, and I was at my heaviest. I was
Okay.
almost 280 pounds at that point. And I look at
Wow.
pictures of myself now, and I'm not that I'm disgusted, because again, I'm not trying to fat shame or whatever, because
Yeah.
some things, it's some things people can't control. For
Right,
me, it
right.
was totally um my knowledge and my education on nutrition. So I
Mhm.
ended up basically cutting out, and that's when right around 2011 is when I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. It runs in my
Okay.
family. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Still ate like shit, whatever. So it's like,
Mhm.
I started turning that around at that
Mhm.
time, but I'm still traveling. So once I
Yeah.
stopped traveling and I was actually able, I still can't meal prep. Let's put it that way. I'm not meal prepping yet. I want to get
Okay.
there. I want to get there. That's the next
Mhm.
step. I'm just also very finicky and picky with having leftovers and reheating stuff.
Oh.
I'm kind of a snob like that.
I was gonna
So
say you're a prude.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But no, I just even cleaning up my diet and being like, okay, you know what? We have a cafeteria in our building. Instead of
Mhm.
getting, a burger or buffalo wings and or pasta every day, I said, you know what? It's cheaper to get a grilled chicken sandwich. I started ordering grilled chicken sandwiches, and instead of getting fries as a salad, fries as a side, I got a side salad, and I
Mhm.
switched out the bread for like two pieces of lettuce, and I just
Mhm.
drizzled it with some honey mustard, just like changing. And I did that
Yeah.
instead of 5 days a week, instead of doing buffalo wings or pasta like 5 days a week, I did it 2 days a week, and then I had
Yeah.
the other 3 days, and I switched
Mhm.
from having pancakes every morning for breakfast in the cafeteria to an egg white omelet with like turkey sausage. And I
Mhm.
dropped, within like 3 months, I dropped like almost 40 pounds. And
That's amazing.
so I'm still a big guy right now. So I still have about another 20 to 25 that I really want to lose. So long
Mhm.
story short, I was at my buddy a couple of years ago. Shout out to my buddy Don. He was going through some tough times, and he was basically saying, "Hey, I just joined this gym. I can bring a guest. Do you want to come with me?" And I was
Mhm.
like, "Why not?" Like, the kid was going through some rough times, and
Mhm.
I want to be there for him, as a kind of for support and whatnot. So we started going, and I fell in love with it. And I'm not going to name
Awesome.
the gym because I don't want to get in trouble, but it is a judgment free zone. I'll just say that,
Mhm.
without giving too much away. But I was picking up a lot
Mhm.
of things, putting down a lot of things.
Mhm.
They have good, bad, and indifferent. They don't. So a lot of the stuff that I'm missing, for me, for my workout regimen, is squats. I'm horrible with squats.
Mhm.
Um, and just having like an actual like bar to press, because they have
Yeah.
a bunch of Smith machines, which again
Yeah.
isn't the worst thing, but for
Mhm.
form wise, it's not your best. So I basically
Right.
stuck with the cable machines and free weights.
Mhm.
And so anyway, long story short, if you go on my Instagram, jfree82, and we'll plug all your stuff at the end of the podcast too. Don't think I forget
Yep.
about that.
No worries.
But yeah, if you look at my stories, I was going like I don't know what the name of the machine is. It's a leg press machine where you're sitting down on an angle and you just got that big flat plate, and then you
Yep.
throw the weights on each side of it.
Yes. Yep.
But it's just like a leg press machine. I was doing like legs and calves on that. And I
Mhm.
got up to a point where I think I was doing like 828-pound like leg presses and stuff like that. And my legs were
Awesome.
really, really defined, and it's easy on
Yep.
my knees. So you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I have that range of motion. You just don't overextend your knees and press full
Right.
to full
Yep.
whatnot, and just keep your knees bent a little bit.
Yep.
And like I love that. And then of course, again, me being me, there was a really cute girl that is actually a person. She was a personal trainer there. There's actually
Mhm.
two cute girls. I'll tell you these stories of both of them. I got varying levels of friendship with them. But one of the girls
Mhm.
was super cute, super Portuguese girl.
Mhm.
I would put up I think like 445s on each side.
Yeah.
And then I would be like, she'd be like, "Oh, can I grab that? Just like grab me when you're done. Let me know because I want to use it." So
Mhm.
again, not trying to be sexist or whatever, but I
Mhm.
said something along the lines of, "Oh, do you want me to take some of these plates off for you?" She's like, "Oh no, I'm gonna throw on." And she's like 4'7", and she's got
Mhm.
like legs the size of tree trunk.
Yeah.
Beautiful girl. And she's
Mhm.
like, she threw up like 645s on each side and was like,
That's
put me to
awesome.
shame. And I was like, I told her the next time I ran into her, I'm like, I'm not trying to be sexist, but I am so impressed with your capability. Like,
Yep.
uh, so
Giving
there's
credit to where credit is due.
right, right. And I actually made a joke about that she gave me the okay to post on, I think it was Twitter or something like that. I said the only time
Mhm.
you should tell a girl that she's got a nice form is when she's at the gym or something like
Yep.
that, or a girl you don't know that she's got a nice form.
That's
But
awesome.
there's another girl actually. Speaking of tying it back to the Harley Quinn thing, there's a friend
Mhm.
of mine who now she's a personal trainer in Foxborough for not for the same company but for a different company. She's a
Mhm.
young girl, but she's beautiful. She's one of like the most beautiful girls I've ever seen. She's got a
Mhm.
great personality. She radiates such positivity and
Mhm.
just like goodness out of her. And I think I've told you about this, but
Yes. Yeah.
she was at the gym and she's got a very nice body.
Mhm.
Very I don't know if kids are still calling it a badonkadonk, but she's got a very nice figure. And there was some
Mhm.
dude like totally like being a creep. So I basically
Mm.
had her work out with me because, I'm very protective of people, even if people
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, dude, you're here to work out. I mean, granted,
Right.
don't ever, you're going to see fit people and your eyes
Right.
are going to be like, oh, wow, they're attractive, but I'm not going to leer at you. I'm not going to stare at
Right.
you. Like,
Right.
I'm not going to be a gross dude about it, like,
Right.
so anyway, so her and I just struck up a conversation. She would film me for a couple things. And same
Mhm.
thing like you and I were talking about, like she's a I think she's a senior in college now. So she's like 22.
Okay.
She's kind of found her, I don't want to say her path, but she's so happy and she finds what she's doing as a personal trainer so rewarding in the fact
Awesome.
that so now it's like I'll see her do stuff and she's doing a lot of high intensity interval training or hit
Mhm.
for the
Yep.
lay people that may not know. And I see her on her story and I'm always like, we send messages back and forth, just like being very positive toward each other
Yeah.
and just like, telling people, telling each other that like, don't stop being amazing. And like, I
Mhm.
think that's a lot of good. So overall, what I'd like to get from you with after that, those two stories,
Mhm.
since I am going to be getting back to the gym, I would like to, if you, again, not to divulge all your secrets, but let's maybe give like two or three like nutrition tips or something that
Yep.
you think might be beneficial for people listening that even if after pandemic, post pandemic, maybe they put on some COVID weight, maybe they
Yeah.
want to get back to the gym. What's some stuff they can do now if they're still staying maybe at home and they're still staying, quarantined for lack of a better term. They're still not
Yeah.
going out and, they're doing the thing where they're ordering, I'm not going to give a fast food company name out, but like they're getting fast food, couple times. They're not cooking at home per se because
Yeah.
maybe they don't want to go out to the grocery store or like
Mhm.
what are just some things like some little either small or big changes they can make for nutrition. And then I want
Mhm.
to kind of talk more personally, like if you were going back to the gym, why don't you give me some tips? What are some of the top three workouts you think I should do?
Okay. Ooh, that's loaded. Very loaded questions. All right, so let me try and nitpick apart so I
Yeah,
can make
go
sure I
for it.
try to answer this. But okay. So I would say for anyone that's probably still quarantined or at home and they're not feeling too comfortable yet with going back into the gym, in regards to like the nutritional component, just FYI, I'm not a nutrition, I don't have my nutrition
Disclaimer,
certification.
disclaimer.
Yes, disclaimer, thank you. But obviously it's part of what I do, so I do know some tips and tricks. Um, in regards to weight loss, you want to make sure that your caloric intake is being monitored. So, like you were saying earlier, you're eating, burgers and pancakes and whatnot. Those are things that have a lot of carbs, a lot of high calories, and what have you. Especially when you do the add-ons like honey mustard and syrup. Those are a lot of things that people kind of misunderstand or forget have like a lot of sugar, a lot of carbs in it as well. So using, a low fat or a low sugar option is always helpful, and always kind of reading the labels. Um, some of the things to kind of keep in mind is like if you don't understand or can't, if you don't know what the item or product is, like on an ingredient rather, you probably shouldn't be consuming it. I think that's another thing that we just kind of overlook.
If you can't
So
pronounce the ingredient,
you
it's
shouldn't be, yeah,
right.
right. But also I think like just substitutions, like what you just pointed out, a lot, like you're already making those changes, and I think that that you were saying it as so casually, but there's so much vital information in what you're saying. Those minor changes actually add up. So for instance, like you're saying, instead of getting a burger with the bun, you're getting, grilled chicken with a lettuce wrap, and still being able to have those tasty little add-ons with the dressing and whatnot. So it's still delicious. You still enjoy it, but you're cutting down on the calories and the carbs and all the added junk, if you will, that's in it. So making those changes little by little is going to help. Also, in regards to weight loss, it's actually important to make sure that you're eating frequent meals. Instead of having huge, like large, massive meals, having like 3 heavy meals a day is not helpful. That's actually going to add on to weight gain, not weight loss. Um, so eating more frequently, smaller meals, keeping in mind your caloric intake. A lot of people in the gym think that by doing cardio, that's what's going to help with weight loss, and especially targeting certain areas to lose weight. Spot reduction actually is what the term is. So I get a lot of like, I want to lose my gut, I want to lose this, and it's like, yeah, it doesn't work that way unless you're willing to, I'm not knocking anybody that wants to do it. If you want to, that's perfectly your choice. But unless you want to undergo some sort of procedure to get that done, that's the only way it's going to happen. You have to be on top of your nutrition at all times in regards to that, in regards to having the fat loss. So you need to eat, like, and eat properly. And that's what's going to really target that.
I want to jump in real quick here
Yeah.
because there's two things that just popped in my mind while we were talking about that. I think what you said about as far as reading the labels, absolutely true. I don't use my Fitness Pal anymore because there's like an issue where it drains my iPhone battery. Apparently, it's a known issue where I was tracking calories in versus calories out type of thing, especially when I
Mm-hmm.
was going to the gym. But as far as even reading the labels, because I think there's so much misinformation out there.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like for example, even at we have like in my cafeteria, we have an entree line, we have a grill line where people do, grilled chicken and stuff like
Yep.
that. But we also have a deli line, so it's kind of like a mini Subway. And
Mm-hmm.
everybody's like, "Oh, I'm trying to watch my intake. I'm going to switch out that white wrap for a tomato wrap or for a whole wheat wrap." And then you look at the package,
Yeah.
and it's like there's not much difference. You
No.
think you're making healthier choices, but
Yep.
that's it's so. And then to your point about substitutions, some of the other things, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I also think it does, even if you're just making small changes to start off with, I think it's like a
Yeah.
huge change. So I'll give you a for
Mhm.
example. One of my closest friends, Danielle, shout out to Danielle, and I go out. We have like a standing dinner date every Friday, and we just
Okay.
hang out and we go to this one chain restaurant that specializes in steaks.
Mhm.
And for the longest time, I was getting an 8-ounce fillet, getting a side salad as one of my sides, and then getting fries. And then they
Mhm.
they offer to upcharge at no upcharge. Hey, I'll throw in cheese and bacon on those fries on top, which is, again, don't get me wrong,
Right.
delicious,
Delicious. Yes, I
delicious.
know.
But it's like I start making the choices when I go
Right.
there now, and I say, okay, well, what did I eat this week? How close did I stick to like my plan? What did I
Mhm.
have that might have been probably not as healthy for me? And if I'm like,
Right.
oh, I've been really good this week, maybe I will do fries because I haven't done fries this
Right.
week, even if I do takeout or whatever. Or,
Right.
if that's the case, or if I do, I say, you know what, can I switch that out? Instead of getting fries, I'll switch over to like corn. Not that that's the most nutritional for you, but
Yeah.
or broccoli. And I'm like, okay, I'll
Right.
switch out to that. And guess
Mhm.
what? You're eating less calories and you're having something that might have some nutrients or vitamins that might help you in certain ways,
Right.
you know,
Right. That's not to
fiber.
say like you can't enjoy
Right.
having some like junk meals, if you will, or having like fries or a burger. It's just like when you make a habit where you're constantly eating that all the time, then you're not going to get the results that you're looking for. And like I'm not gonna lie, like I still have junk food once in a blue moon. Like, but right now, like when I'm in prep, I have to really, like, early on, I have to start to minimize it. Like right now, I can't have it, and that's like right now, that's my choice in regards to what I'm doing for prep. But in general life, for everybody else, like you can enjoy those foods. It's perfectly fine. But again, it's with everything, it's moderation, it's
I was gonna say
balance.
that's the magic
Yeah.
word is moderation.
Yep.
And the
Yeah.
thing I will say too is when if you follow certain celebrities that like athletes, like if you ever watched the Instagram video of The Rock with his cheat meal, you're not The
Hmm.
Rock. The Rock is in the gym 4 times a day, 2 hours at a time, and he's like other than the days that he's having his cheat meal, he
Hmm.
is eating everything that he's supposed to,
Right.
that he should be eating. And then, yeah, you see him eat a cheat meal where he eats like 2 large pizzas and a stack of pancakes.
Right.
That's not the norm because he's an
Right.
athletic freak and he's in the gym all the time.
Exactly. Right,
So,
exactly. He's burning off all of that he's consuming too. So I think it's misleading for those that are not informative, if you will.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that
or
they're not
knowing.
informed, and that's a
Yeah.
good point that you bring up because, like, I agree with you. A lot of people don't necessarily get the concept or
Yeah.
whatnot. Calories in versus calories out.
Hmm.
And to me it's like, and that's been very helpful to me. Like there's a couple different people I follow that have like BMI calculators online and
Hmm.
whatnot, but it's, I think people overestimate, like, because I did that once and I was like, okay, here's my weight, here's how active I am, here's all this other stuff, and it's like, oh, you should be, to eat, like, to keep your to maintain, you should be eating like 2,600 calories a day. And it's like,
Hmm.
to lose weight, like bump that down to like 2,100 calories a day or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm generalizing here because I don't know the
Right.
official
Right.
numbers, but to me it's like you start doing that, and it's like, do you sometimes you might overestimate exactly
Yeah.
how much your output you're putting, like,
Yep.
I'll track stuff on my Fitness Pal, on my Apple Watch, all that other stuff, but
Hmm.
again, I think a lot of it is kind of trial and error too, because it's not an exact science
Right.
with all those things as well. So like if you're in the ballpark,
Hmm.
it's one of those things, like you said, like having something where you go over a particular day by 300 calories is not a bad thing, but
No.
6 days of that going
Right.
over,
It adds up. Yep.
that's where, but again, if you can say, hey, I went over 300 calories this day, but the next 6 days I went 200 calories under. So now you're talking about going under by uh, 1,200 and over. So
Hmm.
you actually went, some value under 900 calories for your entire week that
Right.
you should, or if my math is correct, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, you
Yeah.
know, so I think that's the big takeaway there. And then
Hmm.
for moving forward, like getting for somebody that's either a novice or maybe that's getting back into it, I would think you mentioned like people thinking cardio is going to do everything. I mean, I think there's a time and a place for cardio.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
and
Yes.
I know you did track and field, but me running on a treadmill, fuck that. I'm sorry, but fuck that.
Same.
You know,
Same. I hate it. I
like I'd
absolutely hate
rather
it.
be outside, but the thing I
Yep.
like about the treadmill is it tracks, unless you
Yeah.
have a wearable, whatever, it tracks like your distance. And,
Yep.
I could never do, and I still can't, I got to a really good place where I think I could do like a 15-minute mile. I could never do a 12-minute mile, but
Okay.
I look back to where I started at doing like, walking and doing like, what's the word I want? Like, I don't know if it's hit high
Mhm.
intensity, but you go hard for like 30 seconds and then you slow down. And so even
Yeah.
starting walking, I had like a 22-minute mile and I get that down to like, 15, 16-minute mile at one point.
Hmm.
But it's just like, it's running on a treadmill, especially being a bigger person, is not the
Yeah.
best on your knees. So it's like,
Right.
I think, cycling or even like a rowing machine or something
Hmm.
would be if you're looking for cardio. I think
Yep.
that would be, a good place to start. But as far as like weightlifting, again,
Hmm.
as I mentioned, I stuck pretty much to the cable machines to do basically biceps and triceps, and then I would
Hmm.
do and back and do like, lat pull downs and stuff. But I do like free weights with the dumbbells just for more like back, like to do like rows and like bicep curls and overhead
Hmm.
presses for my triceps and like
Yep.
bench presses with that. So for a novice, and I think
Hmm.
that's the other big thing, especially for
Yeah.
a guy wants to go in and be like, I want to move 50 pounds in each arm and like show and press that right off the,
Right.
it's a build. I have a buddy of mine who I'm not going
Hmm.
to mention his name because I don't want to embarrass him in case he listens to this. But we did a bit where I don't know what you call them. I think you just call them like front raises with the dumbbells.
Yep.
where you're
Front
raising,
lateral raises.
yeah,
Yeah.
front. And it's like, I was up to, at a point, I was up to like 25 pounds where I could do that. But I started out at tens, because you do
Yeah.
6 of those, and again, rep range, we can talk about all that. But like, to me, it's like, I got that. He tried to go in and tried to do the same way I did. And I'm like, dude, I've been doing this for a
Oh.
year and a half. Don't,
Mm-hmm.
like, this is
Don't do
not
what I do.
right.
Right.
I said, this is where you need to start off. And he's just like, yeah, but you're doing this. I said, you don't understand. You have to build to get to that
Yeah.
point. I will. And,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. I feel like it's more of a guy thing. Maybe not. Maybe it's more of a girl thing too. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I should say male versus female. I don't
I
want to.
think it's more just ego. It's
It could be
ego. It's
ego. That's a
pride.
great way to say
Yeah.
it. Like, but I feel like men think that, we think, other guys will see that and think less of, oh, look at this pansy who can only lift. And it's like, it's not,
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
starts somewhere. And again, maybe it's
Right.
just me, but it's like, I see people, even like, people of all shapes and sizes, even if they're walking out and whatnot.
Yeah.
I know some idiots like that would drive by and be like, oh, go ahead. Yeah. Why don't you keep walking? I'm like, they're doing something. They're putting an
Right.
effort in. I don't care
Right.
where you start. It's how you
Right.
finish,
Right.
or where you finish. It's all that stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's so good that if people are trying to do something for their health, it's great. But
Right.
I'm going off topic. I want to stick to you,
You're
because I know
passionate about it. I
yeah, no, I
appreciate
do.
it.
I do. I am. And it's like, but I want to be cognizant of your time. I want to wrap this up in a few minutes, but I just want to
Okay.
kind of get from you. Let's talk about, like, what's just some of the exercises, because I do believe, from some of the stuff I read, we talked about like doing like spot reduction and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Women building muscle, it's not like they're going to be like these giant bodybuilder
Be
Arnold
Hulks.
Schwarzenegger.
No.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. Again,
Yep.
by the
Mm-hmm.
way, put a pin in that. That's a good
She
that could be
Hulk.
a potential cosplay in the future.
Got it.
That'd be awesome. But no, but I absolutely agree with you. I think building muscle, just getting toned. You don't have to have, like, be super bulky. Like, even toned and
Right.
just have some type of muscle. Muscle helps burn fat faster.
Yes. Yes.
So
Absolutely.
I want to just get
Muscle is
your
what makes you look like, it helps you look shapely. It helps build it. Like, I know everyone's on the whole glute phase now. You have to build that up. Um, it's not you want to. I always tell my clients this in regards to building up muscle and whatnot. Like, obviously you want to feel good in your own skin, right? But at the same time, I think of it from more of a protective standpoint. You don't want to be walking down a set of stairs and your knee gives out because your knees are weak because you're not building up the muscles around it. And especially with aging, you don't know what is going to ail you. A lot of clients are coming to me and talking to me about family histories, about illnesses and ailments that they're starting to have. So a lot of my trainings have been geared to preventative care, if you will. And some clients, I even say too, from a protective standpoint, like I was saying earlier, you should be able to maneuver or pull your body out of any sort of situation. One example I gave one of my clients is like, if for any reason you're in a car accident, you should be able to pull yourself out of the window, but with your own body weight. And she's like, wow, I never thought about that. I'm like, and typically females, just by happenstance, we don't have a lot of upper body strength. Where all of our weight is usually in our lower body. With males, it's the opposite. So I always do a lot of emphasis on upper body strength with all of my female clients that I work with, and I empower them. I don't want any of my clients or anybody to ever feel uncomfortable in the gym. Like, they should be able to utilize every ounce resource area of the gym. If you're paying for a membership, you better put it to use. So I always make sure that they feel like they're the baddest person in the room. They can pick up whatever weight, they can do whatever exercise, and feel comfortable doing so. In regards to like just a basic gym regimen for somebody that is like a novice or just trying to get in there, first and foremost, just walking into the building is an accomplishment. I've heard and seen people literally walk in and turn around and walk out because they just are too anxious and self-conscious to do so. So setting a time, packing up a bag and leaving it in your car. So like as soon as you get out of work, you have no excuse to stop home. That is definitely something that's helpful. It's a trick that I personally use when I was kind of low in regards to motivation, and it's helped me so much in the past. So that's something I would recommend. Um, Going into the gym, ask for help. I know it can feel a little awkward and whatnot, but the only way you're going to learn is by asking. So see if you can sign up for like a free training session with a personal trainer, or having somebody from the gym walk around and showing you the machines. That's going to be helpful. A lot of the machines nowadays also have little diagrams on them. So it'll tell you and show you how to um, do the machine or how to use the machine. Some of them are kind of fancy where you can kind of like use your camera and get like the QR reader or whatever, and they'll kind of show you like a link to or a video to the diagram. I haven't seen one yet, but I heard that they're fantastic. So there are different like tips and tricks that you can use and do in order to utilize machines and the equipment in the gym. Um, but you can't go wrong with walking on a treadmill. It's pretty easy to operate. You just press the green button to go, and just give yourself a legitimate, easy target goal. Stay on it for 10 minutes and watch the TV, or listen to a podcast, or listen to like 4 or 5 songs. If you set like little goals, then they're easy to attain, and then the next day or the next week you can increase it by then, like a little bit, whether it's an extra 5 minutes or doing an extra 2 exercises. um, for upper body, I would say probably stay with the dumbbells. They're pretty easy. They usually come in increments of 5, so you can kind of guesstimate where you need to be. Always start off light. Like we just talked about, the pride and the ego can really, really suck us in, and it's not really a pretty sight when we kind of overestimate our ability. So start really light, especially if you're doing a lot of reps. Your body is going to fatigue really quickly. So I would suggest starting lighter than what you're accustomed to, maybe doing 3 sets of 12 to 15 or whatever the exercise, bicep curls, tricep extensions. Um, you can do chest presses. You can use the bench and use the dumbbells as well. Bent over rows, the seated the seated row is really helpful to work your back. The lat pull
Kickbacks.
down, kickbacks, yes. A lot of There's a lot of machine work that's really easy to do. It's kind of hard to mess up unless you're just not paying attention or you're overexerting yourself. But there's so many things that you can use in the gym that are not as intimidating, if you will. Or what you can also do if you have a friendly person or if you have an outgoing personality is you can probably just ask somebody and ask them to show you too. There's a lot of members in the gym that are actually willing to help out.
That's what I found too, is that again, I think, and I don't want to misspeak per se, but going back to that story where the people are like ripping on the people, the overweight people walking or
Mhm.
whatever. Again, they're not the ones that are going to the gym. They're the ones that are just, you know, they're not making the effort. People
Right.
that want that, like, are cheering these other people on to
Mhm.
be healthier, and I don't want to say better versions of themselves, but healthier versions of themselves.
Mhm.
Pretty much anybody in the gym, specifically if I think depending on the type of gym that you go to. So
Yes.
with health tracks, I think there's a lot of, like, the one I go to, it's a lot of people just kind of like, oh, $10 a month, why not?
Yeah.
Like, I'll do that.
Right.
But like if it's like a membership where it's like not, I don't want to say expensive, but it's a little bit more costly, the people
Mhm.
that you're going to get there are the ones that want to work out. So I think
Right.
those are the types of people that their help, they've been in your shoes, they know where they started, so they're
Mhm.
happy to help out. Like, even where I go, when I go, like, if I see somebody like trying to figure something out, I don't like to assume, but I try to be very approachable,
Yes.
where
Yep.
I'll be, like, I'll walk by, I'll see somebody doing something, I'll be like, "Oh, yeah, you're killing it, good job." And then they come to
Mhm.
me like, I don't really feel like I did that right." Like, I'm like, "You want me to spot you?
Yeah.
You want me to do whatever?" Like,
Yes, and
I got you, like,
that's perfect. You
like,
know.
that's how I look at it. Again, by no means am I an expert within, lifting and whatnot. Because I also
Mhm.
wanted to point out, you mentioned a lot of machines. So typically, like a Nautilus machine, where, like, you have a bicep curl where, or a preacher curl where they have,
Yeah.
the padding right
The
there where your
pads.
arms
Yep.
come up. And then I hear conflicting things about range of motion versus, free weights versus machines. But again, I
Yeah.
think it's what you're looking to do.
Right.
Again, if you're just looking just to get accustomed to the way it should move, I'm a big proponent. Start off at the machines just so you get an idea of what you should be doing or how
Right.
your
Yep.
muscles should feel toward the end of it. And to your
Mhm.
point, that's great. I know the first day I go back, I'm gonna, the next day after I do arms, even if I don't go heavy, I'm gonna be hurting. You know what I mean?
Yep. Exactly.
And
Yeah.
I'm fine with that, and I understand that, and it's like
Mhm.
it's part of the process.
Right.
I just want to very quickly
Mhm.
just get an opinion on you, as far as you mentioned reps 12 to 15. Now, do you have a specific set of, like, building versus toning? Because I know that there's a lot of, like, woo woo,
Yeah.
stuff out there, like, oh, well,
Mhm.
stick, if you're looking to build, do heavier from, like, 4 to 8 reps, and if you're looking to
Mhm.
tone, work a little bit lighter and do like 6 to 12.
Right.
Is that typically the rule of thumb you use too?
So it depends on what my clients are looking for in regard to their programming, but for basic, like starting out and to build up stamina and to kind of get your muscles ready and prepared, I stick with the 3 sets of 12 to 15. I don't do any building or toning. I just stick with that until the stamina and endurance is there. Then I tweak it from there because some people have they have higher standards than what they're aware of. Where they might have asthma or an underlying condition, or maybe they need more breaks more breaks in between their sets, or maybe they don't like the exercise, maybe they're not executing it properly. There's a lot of different components, so I don't tweak with like the building or whatnot, like you had said before, until I establish that. But I do like the building phase, if you will. I don't have that many clients that go into that phase just because it's not what they're looking for. But when I do, I challenge the crap out of them. So we're doing heavy weights. We're building upon it like every week or two, depending, until I won't say max out, but until we finish that programming, and then I go back after I change the programming every 6 weeks, and then I'll go back and I'll create a new program from there. But from somebody that's just starting out, I keep it pretty easy. Um, Also because I want them to be able to remember the exercises so that they can do it on their own time when they're not training with me. And it's just to also build that confidence to get into the gym and be able to do those exercises on their own. So yeah, I just try to keep it as simple as possible. I don't do any of the fancy, IG weird exercises that everybody rants and raves about it. I usually keep it pretty simple because the basics and the simple movements are what it actually helps build the muscle.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, and there's something else I want to say. And as we wrap up, I want to say my Sherry Amour, which I didn't even call you yet, because that's
I
back to where we
know. I was
started.
expecting that.
I was my Sherry Amour. I've been calling you that
Yep.
for like
For years.
almost, yeah, like 17 years now, which is
Yeah.
crazy, crazy,
Hmm.
crazy.
Yep.
I do want to point out, I think I want to make mention of this. I know I've told you this in private, but
Mm.
now on the podcast, I want to just let you know that how much I adore you and how much I think that you're such a positive light
Oh,
in this world right now, and you're putting a lot of good out there. And I think that's such a wonderful thing. And I want to just kind of give a quick shout out, and we'll do this during the plugs as well. But I
mm,
mentioned earlier this necklace that you made for me, when we started like really get talking about like life and positivity and putting good
yep.
out into the world. Um, you do a little side hustle for this company,
I
and
do.
I'll let you talk about it. But it says small steps, because um, my whole mantra, if you will, like we talked about, is nothing's going to happen, overnight. Everything's a journey. So you just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. So
Yep.
as we were talking, you made this for me in this little, almost like this little washer type of thing.
Yep.
You engraved on it. And so I'm wearing
Yeah.
it around my neck, and it's going to be, you best believe it'll be on my neck once I go back to the gym starting,
Awesome.
May 1st. So I want you to talk a little bit about that too, because I want to talk about that, and then we'll do some plugs, and then
Okay.
I'll have you sign us out of here. But yeah, let's talk
All right.
about the work you're doing, and your what is it? My intent, right?
Yes. Yep. So
So
first off,
let's
I want to say that you're awesome and I appreciate all that you do and
thank you.
the messages that you share with everybody and just being an awesome human being because literally like any little like any comments that you make, posts that you share, like it really does shed a positive light on
Well,
everybody.
I appreciate. I think a lot of that comes from you and I both working retail. Like my thought
Yeah.
was, we could be having the best day in the world, and then you get that one,
Yeah.
a-hole customer comes in and just like entitled or whatever, and yells at you, swears at you, whatever, and thinks
Mhm.
the customer's always right, which is
Not true.
totally wrong. But
Yep.
like I do the opposite. I want to be the person that I'll come through your line in a retail or whatever, and I'll say
Mhm.
something or I'll crack a joke and it makes you smile. And I'm like,
Yep.
all right, like even if you're having a bad day, this is one little moment of your day today, one little moment out of your
Right.
life that was good and positive and uplifting, whatever it might be. So I
Right.
just think that, I think we're both like just really good people. Not that I want to pat myself on the back, but I think that good people kind of draw themselves to each other, and I think that's
Yeah.
why you and I talk about having that connection. I think that's
Yeah.
why, because I think you and I both have the same idea that we want to see the best out of people, and you're
Correct.
living that dream right now in the sense of what you're doing in your path in life. I'm not
Yeah.
necessarily doing that. I'm trying to do that for myself. So I
Hmm.
may be picking your brain in the future.
You know where to find me.
But let's talk about your little side
Yes.
hustle here.
Yeah,
So
so my intent is a company that I had stumbled upon. I was trying to find something that I can kind of continue to share some, positivity and positive affirmations out of, or through rather. So I bought a couple of items from there, and I just been able to kind of reach out to people, and just kind of being able to give them a little symbol, a little token of, positivity, whether it's, you got this, or, you know, goddess, or you're beautiful, or inspirational, like whatever it may be, some sort of word that will connect with them, that will remind them of where they are in life, or what they need to remind themselves in life. I've had family members, I've had friends, dealing with loss, and they just need to have that like glimmer of hope, that faith kind of restored. And that token, whether it may be a bracelet, whether it's a necklace, whether it's just a keychain, it's just a nice little reminder, that I just love being able to create for people. The perfectionist in me kind of gets in the way sometimes, because I'm like, it must be straight. But sometimes the thing is, like, life is not straight. It's complicated at times. It's not perfect. And I even reached out to you in regards to yours specifically, and I'm like, that the perfectionist in me kind of like questioned it for a second. I'm like, but wait, like, this is part of what you and I were talking about the small steps. Like, sometimes you stumble on a step, you know what I mean?
right, the
And
T in
the T,
steps, the T in
yes,
steps was it was a little misprinted, but it was a little off, and it's like, oh, it looks like it was like engraved twice almost, and it was like a little, it
yeah,
wasn't fully overlapped, and I
yeah,
think that's absolutely perfect because you're gonna
yeah,
stumble sometimes, and you're gonna
right,
mess up. Hey, pick yourself right back from where you
right.
stumbled and keep on that path. That's all that matters.
Exactly. And it just adds to the beauty and uniqueness of the message that we're trying to relay in that. And I honestly enjoy making it for people. I started getting a little lax in regards to kind of, advertising, if you will. But I feel like it is part of my calling, because funny enough, after I sent yours, it was kind of quiet for a little bit. And then I had actually three people reach out to me within the last week asking, hey, are you still making the bracelets? Can I get A, B, and C? And I'm like, what? So I think it's the universe's way of saying, like, this is something that I feel like I need to do, along with, the personal training and other things that I do, that I just find a lot of joy out of. And if I can make that for anybody, and just, send a little piece of light and positivity their way, then I'm more than welcome to do it. Like, I love doing it. It's not a burden for me. It makes me feel amazing that I'm able to share this with somebody else and have that connection with that person, because it's not just making that piece, it's the conversation that goes along with making that piece. Like, what's the reason for choosing this word? And then hearing the reason why. Like, it's almost like this, it's like a mini, almost like therapy session, they're sharing this unique, intricate, beautiful details with me, and I appreciate it, and I thank them all the time for it. Like, I think no one has to do that, you know what I mean? And I just enjoy the process. I think it's actually beautiful, and it's a amazing experience to be able to share that piece with whomever it is that I'm making it for.
I love that so much, and it's
Mhm.
funny you say that because this podcast is kinda like my therapy session. It's the same way, like, I like having conversations with people. Let's just
Yeah,
talk about life and see where it goes, and we
yeah.
have the topics, but, yeah,
Hmm.
people like the necklaces and or the my intent, all very, very affordable,
Hmm.
for to put that messaging on there. So if people want to order that, where can they do that if they wanted to go through you?
So they can just reach out to me through my DM, on IG. So my handle is Nikki Castries. That's NICKYCASTRIES. You'll see my little face. My name is Sherilyn, so you'll be on the right track if you see that. And just send me a message and ask me if, what is I have in inventory, and we can have a discussion and make something beautiful.
And I will absolutely put that in the show notes as well. I'll put Sherry's Instagram handle so you can reach out there. Any other things you want to plug? Any other websites or social media that you would like to give a shout out to and have people check out? And I can put in the show notes as well.
Yeah. I would say hashtag to, Health Tracks East Providence. Um, it's an awesome place to work. It's a great facility, pretty clean. It's very clean. That's me casually talking. It's very clean, friendly staff, amazing personal training staff. So feel free to come in, do a healthy start, and check it out.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, my Sherry Amore, uh, thank you so much for being on the podcast. You're guest number 3, but you're
Oh,
even though
nice.
you're the third guest on the show, you're not finishing in third place. You're finishing in first place
Oh,
as a
thank you.
podcast guest. No, I love having you on. I've loved just being able to converse with you more recently and just like really
Yeah.
catching up. And it's been so good.
Hmm.
I just, you're a very, very, as I mentioned before, very, very, very bright light. You put a
You
lot
as
of
well.
positivity, and I love the good you put out into this world, and it's so needed at a time like this. Again, I don't talk about politics or other stuff,
Yeah.
but we all know what's going on right now between
Yes.
COVID and other things that are happening around the
Yeah.
country, that have been happening around the country, and things that we have to continue to get better at and learn
Yeah.
and be more accepted of, and just being better human beings. I think that
Yes.
you're a template of someone I would point out to be like, this is what the world needs more of. The world needs more of Sherilyn in it. And I think that's just a wonderful thing. So thank you for being on the show. It's truly appreciated. I love you to death.
Thank you for having me. And I would
Uh,
say likewise to you that the world needs more Jeffs
well,
to keep
we'll
things
get
light
there.
and to laugh about. Like I honestly like I enjoy your bit that you always was I don't know if it's appropriate to be sharing
Oh,
that, but
please
I
go
enjoy
ahead.
your little radio bit.
Oh,
It's
yes.
so cheesy. But seriously, there's been so many days where I'd watch it and I just crack up laughing. I'm like, Jeff is so cheesy, but I love it because it puts a smile on my face.
So
So
for those that
you
don't know,
are just
yeah, you can go on my Instagram as well. So I'll do a quick
Mhm.
couple of my plugs. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at jfree82. That's JFREE82. Both Instagram and Twitter. My website, jfree the geek, JFREETHEGREEK. I had to spell geek. Yeah.
I
No,
know.
not the Greek. Jfree the geek. JFREEGEEK.com. Wow, I'm not Greek at all. I
Took a
don't know,
while. Yeah.
but that's okay. I'm having flashbacks of Jesse Katsopoulos.
Oh
Uh,
jeez.
that's. I wish I looked like John Stamos. Are you kidding me?
He's
But what
actually in a new movie or TV show. Did you see
really?
that commercial? Yeah,
No,
I can't, it's a basketball show or
I'll
movie.
have to
I'm
check
like,
that
he looks
out.
pretty good for his age.
I'll have to check that out. But what Sherry's talking about is I'll be driving. Well, not driving. I don't do it while I'm driving. Let's be safe
Hmm.
here. But
Yeah.
no, I have Bluetooth going, and I'll just be listening. I put my uh, iPhone on shuffle. I play music, whatever, and then when I find a song that has a little bit of an intro,
Mm.
instrumental intro, I'll like think of something cheesy to say, or do like an introductory of it. I actually heard it on another podcast where they were talking about. Two Princes. I don't know if you know that song. It's an old 90s
Yeah.
song,
Yep.
but it was a podcast I was listening
Spin
to.
Doctors.
Spin Doctors, Two Princes. They were talking
Yeah.
about how they could do like an intro to anything, and they did that as an example. And I started goofing around and trying to do it with stuff too. And then it kind of morphed into this thing where we'll do. I don't know. Can you? I can't remember any off the top of my head because they're so like. Do you have like anyone that pops
Mm.
into your head, or you just think they're all just stupid
Uh,
cheesy?
They're all stupid cheesy, but I
Yeah.
think you might have done like a Britney one, I think, at one point.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I just
I'll be
can't
like,
remember.
so I'll again pretend like baby hit me one more time, baby hit me one more
Yep.
time, right? So I'll say I'll do something like, this is your home of today's rock and pop Jco Radio. I'm your host Jay Free, and I was hanging out with Britney Spears. We went on a date. We went to a bumper car race, and I said, "Baby, hit me one more time," and then the song will
The
come
music.
in
Yep.
as that. So it's just I'll do stupid,
Hmm.
cheesy, dumb things like that. So
Yep.
there's a whole collection of those on my Instagram as well. I have another friend of mine who I'm trying to get on the podcast, and she wants me to make a separate Instagram channel just for those. And
That would be
I'm
amazing.
contemplating it, but it's like I
Do
already
it.
have one for my other podcast, and I have this one that's like running 3 Instagrams. It's just like
Yeah, it's a lot.
I don't want to get into all that. I just like I think
Maybe you
it's
can make it like a highlight reel or
well, that's
something like
what it is.
that.
All my
Yeah.
highlights. So
Mhm.
yeah, so you can
Yep.
check all that out. But yeah, so check out Sherry's all her stuff. I'll include health tracks in there from East Providence. I'll include her Instagram handle. Is there anything else you want to plug, or do you think an hour and a half has been far enough, far long enough for us to talk for a
Yeah.
while?
I think that's enough for
Okay.
now. Maybe that could be another episode down
Oh,
the
you'll
line
be back on. You'll be back on for sure.
because we
Um,
definitely have to talk about music.
Oh,
You
we're
know
gonna
that's
we're gonna
our
go into
shtick.
all that. I wanted
Okay.
to get the listening audience just to kind of like have this aimless conversation to know about all the good and the positive things, where you came from, all the good things you're doing in your life, all the good that you're helping others achieve. I think it's amazing. So what I'm going to do for these podcasts, Sherry, is I'm going to say, let's close out the show. So then you'll just say, hi, my name is, and this has been my aimless conversation.
You sounded like you're going into an Eminem stick right there, or shtick.
Hi, my name is. Yeah, that's true. Okay, or so you can just say, sorry. No, that's great. So I'll just say, let's close the show, and you can just say, I'm, and this has been my aimless conversation.
Do I have to say your name too?
No, it's just you. People know who I am. People know who I am. It's not, hey, yeah, no. It's basically closing it out for you, because this has been your aimless conversation with me.
Okay, got it.
So whenever you're ready, let's close out the show.
All right. I'm Sherilyn, and this has been my aimless conversation.